In the 3rd century BC, two great powers stood as titans over the Mediterranean world, Rome and Carthage. Their influence stretched across vast lands and seas, shaping the destinies of countless peoples and cultures. These two civilizations, though separated by hundreds of miles, were on a collision course that would change history forever. Rome, a disciplined and relentless land power, had conquered the Italian peninsula through determination, strategy, and sheer force. Its ambitions, however, did not end at Italy's borders. The city hungered for new territories, new resources, and greater glory. The Roman legions were unmatched in discipline and organization. Every citizen was expected to serve, and the society itself was built on a foundation of order, duty, and military service. Their training was rigorous, their tactics innovative, and their resolve unbreakable. Carthage, by contrast, was a maritime empire, wealthy, ancient, and master of the seas. Its power came not from armies on land, but from its mighty navy and bustling ports. Carthaginian merchants and sailors traveled far and wide, bringing riches and influence back to their city. Its navy ruled the western Mediterranean, projecting Carthaginian power from the coast of North Africa to the shores of Spain, Sardinia, Sicily, and the islands beyond. Carthage's influence was felt wherever the sea could carry its ships. For years, Rome and Carthage coexisted uneasily, each wary of the other's ambitions. But as Rome's reach extended southward, their borders drew dangerously close, especially in Sicily, a rich and strategic island that both coveted. The inevitable clash erupted in 264 BC, igniting the First Punic War. What began as a local dispute quickly escalated into a full-scale conflict that would engulf the entire region. The word Punic comes from the Latin for Carthaginian, a nod to their Phoenician ancestry. Carthage's roots ran deep, tracing back to ancient traders who had crossed the sea centuries before. This was more than a fight for land or power, it was a struggle for the very future of the Mediterranean world. The outcome would determine which civilization would shape the destiny of the region for centuries to come. Two worlds, two philosophies, and two destinies collided in a contest of will, strategy, and endurance. The war would last over 2 decades, pushing both Rome and Carthage to their absolute limits. Cities would burn, fleets would be lost, and thousands would perish. In the end, the struggle would reshape the ancient world and leave a legacy that echoes through history. At the heart of the conflict was Sicily, the crossroads of the Mediterranean. Whoever controlled Sicily controlled vital sea lanes and a rich agricultural prize. Carthage needed Sicily for its trade. Rome saw it as a threat on its doorstep. The island's fertile land made it a coveted breadbasket, fueling armies and cities. Greek city-states like Syracuse had long vied for control, but Carthage held the west. The war began over Messana, a city seized by mercenaries who called for help from both powers. Carthage responded first. But Rome, unwilling to let a rival dominate so close to Italy, sent its legions across the strait. For the first time, Roman armies fought outside Italy. The struggle for Sicily became a battle for survival and ambition. Rome's decision to intervene would force it to confront its greatest weakness. Rome's greatest strength lay on land. Its legendary legions, disciplined and battle-hardened, were nearly unbeatable in open combat. For centuries, these soldiers had conquered their neighbors, expanding Roman influence across the Italian peninsula. Their tactics, organization, and sheer determination made them a force to be reckoned with, feared by enemies far and wide. But the Mediterranean was a different battlefield altogether. Here, Carthage reigned supreme, its powerful navy ruling the waves. Rome, in contrast, had almost no navy to speak of. Its harbors were empty, its experience at sea minimal. Carthage's mighty quinqueremes, manned by expert sailors and seasoned marines, dominated the seas. Their fleets could appear anywhere, striking swiftly and vanishing just as quickly. Roman soldiers, mostly farmers by trade, were not sailors. Their few ships were small, outdated, and unsuited for the grand naval battles that now decided the fate of empires. Carthage could resupply its cities, reinforce its armies, and even raid the Italian coastline at will. Rome, meanwhile, was powerless to stop them, forced to watch as their enemy moved freely across the water. Early Roman victories on land, no matter how impressive, meant little if Carthage controlled the sea. The balance of power was shifting, and Rome's dominance was suddenly in question. The Romans soon realized a harsh truth. They could win every battle on land and still lose the war if they could not challenge Carthage at sea. As long as Carthage ruled the waves, Rome's efforts in Sicily and beyond were doomed to fail. Their armies were stranded, their supply lines cut, their ambitions checked by the enemy's naval supremacy. The Republic now faced a stark and urgent choice: adapt to this new kind of warfare, or accept defeat and see all their hard-won gains slip away. Rome's very survival depended on mastering the unfamiliar art of naval combat. They would have to train new sailors, build new ships, and learn new tactics, fast. The Senate was anxious. The war was draining Rome's resources, and without action, the Republic would bleed itself dry, both in men and in treasure. The time had come for a radical transformation. Rome would have to reinvent itself, turning from a land power into a naval force almost overnight. With determination and urgency, Rome set out to build a navy from scratch, an audacious gamble that would change the course of history. The Senate made a bold decision. If Rome lacked a navy, it would build one. With no tradition of shipbuilding, the Romans copied a captured Carthaginian quinquereme. They ordered the construction of over 100 warships, mobilizing forests and thousands of workers. Training crews was a challenge. Men practiced rowing on land, learning coordination and discipline. In a matter of months, Rome had a fleet, an astonishing feat of organization and determination. This was more than imitation, it was innovation. The Romans were about to add a deadly twist to naval warfare. Their new fleet would not just match Carthage, it would change the rules. The Republic's resourcefulness and willpower were on full display. Rome was ready to take the fight to the sea. A new era in Mediterranean warfare was about to begin. The Romans knew they couldn't outmaneuver Carthage at sea, so they changed the game. Their secret weapon, the Corvus, a boarding bridge with a deadly spike. When enemy ships drew near, the Corvus would slam down, locking vessels together. Suddenly, naval battles became infantry brawls, exactly where Roman soldiers excelled. Carthaginian crews trained for ramming and speed were overwhelmed by Roman legionaries storming across the Corvus. The device neutralized Carthage's naval advantages and turned sea battles into land battles. Ramming tactics became liabilities. Close combat favored Rome. The Corvus was crude but brilliant, playing to Roman strengths. With this innovation, Rome could finally challenge Carthage at sea. The Crow was ready to fly. By 256 BC, after years of war, Rome planned a daring invasion of Africa. They assembled a massive fleet, over 300 warships and transports carrying 40,000 soldiers. The Carthaginians, desperate to defend their homeland, gathered an even larger fleet. The two armadas met off Cape Ecnomus, near Sicily. Nearly 700 warships and 300,000 men prepared for one of history's largest naval battles. The Roman fleet, led by consuls Regulus and Vulso, aimed to land in Africa. Carthage's admirals, Hanno and Hamilcar, knew they had to stop them. The fate of the war and the Mediterranean hung in the balance. Rome's new navy faced its ultimate test. Carthage fought for survival, Rome for supremacy. The stage was set for a colossal clash. The Romans protected their transports with a wedge formation, placing warships at the front and flanks. Carthage, seeing an opportunity, arranged their fleet in a long line, planning to lure the Roman vanguard away. As the Romans advanced, the Carthaginian center retreated, drawing the consuls forward. Gaps opened in the Roman formation, exposing the slower squadrons and transports. Carthaginian wings swung around, attacking the Roman rearguard and the transport escorts. The sea erupted into chaos. 3 separate battles raged at once. The Roman vanguard pressed the center, while their rear and flanks were under heavy assault. The Carthaginian trap seemed to be working. Roman transports were in grave danger, and the fleet was split. The outcome hung by a thread. The Romans faced disaster unless they could adapt fast. The next moments would decide everything. The Carthaginian trap was sprung, but the Romans unleashed the Corvus. Boarding bridges crashed onto Carthaginian decks, turning naval combat into brutal infantry fights. Carthaginian crews, expecting ramming duels, were overwhelmed by Roman soldiers. The Corvus nullified Carthage's seamanship. Their ships became battlegrounds for Roman discipline. As the Roman vanguard realized the danger, the consuls turned back to aid their embattled squadrons. Fresh Roman forces slammed into the Carthaginian wings, tipping the balance. Hanno's right wing was crushed, the left lost heart and fled. The sea was littered with Carthaginian wrecks. The battle, which began as a Carthaginian ambush, ended in disaster for them. The Corvus and Roman resolve had shattered Carthage's plan. Ecnomus became a turning point in the war. Rome had proven itself a force at sea. The aftermath was a stunning Roman victory, a sight that would echo through history. The once mighty Carthaginian fleet lay in ruins, their ships burning and drifting, while Roman banners fluttered triumphantly above the waves. The sea, stained by battle, now belonged to Rome. Carthage lost over 30 ships sunk and 64 captured. Rome lost only 24. The scale of the defeat was unprecedented, sending shockwaves through the ancient world. For Carthage, this was not just a loss of ships, but a blow to their pride and reputation as masters of the sea. The Corvus, Rome's innovative boarding device, had turned the tide. Captured ships and crews told the story. Roman ingenuity had overcome Carthaginian experience, and the survivors could only marvel at the new tactics that had brought them low. Carthage's myth of naval invincibility was shattered. No longer could they claim dominance over the Mediterranean. The psychological impact was as devastating as the physical losses. Rome's gamble had paid off. The path to Africa was open. For the first time, Roman ships could sail unopposed towards Carthage's own shores, threatening the heart of their enemy's empire. The psychological blow to Carthage was immense. Rome had rewritten the rules of naval war. The Carthaginians, once feared at sea, now found themselves on the defensive, forced to retreat before the rising Roman tide. The consuls, who led the fleet, were hailed as heroes in Rome. Their daring and leadership inspired the people, and Rome's confidence soared to new heights. Celebrations erupted across the city, and the Senate recognized the significance of this victory. The balance of power shifted. Rome, once a land power, was now a sea power too. The Republic had proven it could master the waves as well as the land, forever changing its destiny. The First Punic War would continue, but Rome's victory at Ecnomus changed everything. The Carthaginians now faced a new reality. Rome was a formidable naval rival, and the war's outcome was far from certain. The Republic now had the fleet, the experience, and the will to dominate the Mediterranean. Roman sailors, once novices, had become seasoned veterans, ready to face any challenge the sea could offer. The road to empire began here, on the waves off Sicily. With every oar stroke, Rome moved closer to greatness, setting out on a journey that would shape the ancient world for centuries to come. Rome's destiny as a superpower was set in motion. The Mediterranean would never be the same, as the Republic's influence spread across the seas, heralding the rise of a new master of the ancient world.